What's up, everybody? This is Patrick, and I am here with a news report video. Now, I got up this morning and I saw this report out, so I wanted to get this to your attention. There has been reports a former Divas Champion has been reportedly been at a recent NXT taping and hinting at a return to WWE. And that report happens to be former Divas Champion Kaitlyn. And according to the article, it has said this in the following, according to Fightful News. Not sure how credible these guys are, but it has been reported saying that Kaitlyn has been away from WWE for over 4 years. According to Wrestling Observer, formerly Kaitlyn in WWE was at a June 22nd taping for NXT. The former WWE wrestler was with the company from 2010 to 2004, going from Florida Championship Wrestling, NXT, and then the main roster for much of her time teaming or feuding with AJ Lee. In 2018, Bonnie returned to wrestling at Florida Wrestling Promotion Coastal Championships Wrestling. At one of those events, she was invited by Chris Van Vliet, not sure who he is, and made a comment about being a part of sports, being a sports entertainer, and joked it was foreshadowing for something else that she was trying to get used to say that instead of wrestling. Since leaving the WWE, Bonnie has been public about the changes in her diet, exercise, which has changed her physical. I'm not sure what that word says. She has been vlogging YouTube channel, which has followed her life, fitness, and return to the ring. Fightful Wrestling will continue to motivate any changes Bonnie's professional wrestling career. Now, I will say this. Now, I will say this about Kaitlyn. If you guys remember my video about me explaining about my life as a wrestling fan, I wasn't the biggest Kaitlyn fan at that time. And I didn't like the character she's portraying. So you guys need to remember, I wasn't a fan of her as a character. I'm not saying I hated Kaitlyn. It was just her character I wasn't the biggest fan of. The fact is that back then, they had her chase the Divas Championship, and her rival was Eve Torres. And the fact of, as a babyface, for you to chase the champion, the basics of chasing a champion is not being a whiny little baby, because that's what she was. I know not many people might have been a fan or watched WWE back in that era, but she was a bit of a whiny baby. Like, every single time she'd get to the Divas Championship and she would lose, she'd make an excuse. Because your basics as a babyface, to be a chasing for someone to chase the championship, you don't cry to your GM until your GM gives you a title match. To chase the champion, you gotta work for it. That's basically how it's done. You work for your title opportunities. Like, that was the problem I had with Kaitlyn back in that era. She was just a whiny baby. She just whined until she got another opportunity. So, that's my issues. That was my issues. I'm not saying Kaitlyn is a bad wrestler. She's not bad. I never said she's a bad wrestler. She's decent. She's pretty good. When she's against the right opponent, she's pretty good. But the other problem with her when she was Divas Champion, she didn't have a very memorable title reign. she only had one title defense. She only had one title defense on the main roster. That was against Tamina. And then she dropped the title to AJ Lee, which, in my personal opinion, was a good rivalry, which was a good feud. Kaitlyn was really at her best in that feud, because AJ was a... You know me when it comes to AJ Lee. She's a great wrestler, AJ Lee. So she was able to really help Kaitlyn out when it comes to wrestling. Like I said, Kaitlyn's a decent wrestler. I don't have a problem with her as a wrestler. It was just the character I wasn't a fan of. Would I like to see Kaitlyn come back to WWE? Yes. I would like to see Kaitlyn back. More women on the roster. The more women WWE get, the better it will be. So then that way, when they do want to do another Women's Royal Rumble, they will have enough women to fill out. Which, I'll probably talk about the Women's Royal Rumble sometime, because I've been hearing a lot of people saying that they will continue the Women's Royal Rumbles. I don't know how to feel about that. Even though I was a big fan of the Women's Royal Rumble idea at first, but I just don't know how they can continue doing more Women's Royal Rumbles without, bringing the same people back every year. So bringing Kaitlyn back to WWE would be a great idea. Should she be in NXT? That's another question. Now, I know what people are going to say. Yes, she should be in NXT. Because that's normally how things would work. When you come to WWE, you start in NXT. But here's the thing. She's a former employee. She's a former employee of WWE. Yes, I know. EC3 was a former employee. Yes, I know, and he's in NXT. That's who you're going to use as the example. You people are going to say, EC3 was a former employee and he's in NXT. But that's different. Was EC3 ever a star in WWE? No, he wasn't a star. Kaitlyn was. She won a Divas Championship. I'm not saying don't put Kaitlyn in NXT. I'm not saying that at all. I wouldn't care if they put her in NXT. I wouldn't. I'll tell you why I wouldn't care if they put her in NXT. So then that way, the reason why I wouldn't care is, more opponents for Shayna. More opponents for Shayna. That's why I would not mind Kaitlyn being in NXT. More people for Shayna to face. Because, there's barely anybody on the roster besides Kairi Sane who could verse Shayna Baszler for the championship. You get Kaitlyn in, another fresh opponent for Shayna Baszler. But, at the same time though, I don't know what Kaitlyn will do in NXT. I feel like there's more value for her on the main roster than on NXT. I'm not trying to say, she'll be wasted in NXT. Look at the people that NXT have on their roster. How many of the women that they use on their roster are legit ready for title opportunities? The only people I can basically remember NXT using are Dakota Kai and Lacey Evans. They're the only people I remember them using. At this moment in time, there are several girls in NXT that are getting the Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville treatment. That they should be used. But they're not being used. So, I'm not saying Kaitlyn will be wasted in NXT. I don't think she will. But I feel like there's more value for her on the main roster. There's more people for her to verse. I don't know. I don't know. But you guys tell me, where would you prefer Kaitlyn to be if she is to return to WWE? Which I feel like at this point, this report could be true because they said she was at a recent NXT taping. Because if she was at NXT, then yes, it could possibly be true that she could be back. But if the report said that she could be at an NXT taping, then we can't say, oh, well, we don't know if she's going to be there or not. But considering that the report said that she is at an NXT taping, that pretty much means that she probably is returning. But we don't know for sure. We don't know if she's going to sign a contract or not. Maybe they just wanted to give her a little test run. Which that is what I think that she should be used for in NXT. If you're going to bring, you know, some of your former talents back, like Kaitlyn, you should put them in NXT as tests. You should give them like a test match or two, just to see if they still have the same groove. And if they're still as good as they used to be, then you can say, right, well, you can go on to the main roster. You're ready. You don't need to be in NXT. That's the thing. I feel like Kaitlyn doesn't need to be in NXT. But if they do put her in NXT, I'm not gonna complain. I'm not gonna complain if they put her in NXT. Because, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Because then that way, she might get more training done. And maybe perfect her moveset more. But the other question is she going to be like Drew McIntyre in a way? Is she going to have her old character, or are they going to give her a brand new character? I don't mind if they bring back one of her theme songs. I believe it was it Spin the Bottle or Keep Reaching Higher? I can't remember which one it was. She had Higher. Right, she had Higher before she left. But I wouldn't mind if they brought back one of her theme songs, but maybe changing her character a bit more. Get rid of the whiny character. Like, I will gladly get behind Kaitlyn if, you know, if she's like if she has a completely different character, more serious, more taking opportunities, more wanting to get opportunities instead of begging for opportunities. You know, like she might want to work for them instead of begging like she did before. But yeah. So yeah, that's your video for today. That is your report video for today. The report about Kaitlyn possibly returning to WWE. She was at a recent NXT taping, and we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. Do you guys want to see Kaitlyn return, or do you think WWE is better off without her? Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Comment your thoughts down below. Do you want to see Kaitlyn back in WWE? And where do you think she should go? Do you think she should start her run again in NXT, or skip NXT and go straight to the main roster? Thank you all for joining, and I'll talk to you guys later. Like I said, be sure to hit the thumbs up, comment your thoughts down below, subscribe to this channel if you want to, and also be sure to follow me at Twitter. Talk to you guys later.